dance, to have our music, socialize, talk about politics. The powwow had almost disappeared in many parts of the country until the American Indian movement sparked this renaissance.
So we just finished watching the Vernon Belcourt's clip, and basically, like he said, he made a good point about the American Indian movement has always been going since the settlers, but let's kind of focus it a little bit more and talk about what is AIM to this group of AIM members. Did you have?
Right. To me, the American Indian movement is a movement of indigenous people dedicated to fighting for and defending the rights of indigenous people. As we heard Vernon Belcourt say, it is a spiritual movement, it is also a political and a social movement, and it is essentially whatever it needs to be to ensure the safety and health of indigenous people all across this continent, and to make sure that we're healthy.
I think that the American Indian movement is a militant organization. We do what needs to be done to solve our problems. We empower ourselves. We are indigenous people ourselves, and we are here to liberate ourselves from colonialism, whether it be external or internal.
The American Indian movement, to me, is an intertribal organization, and our main goal is to make Indian country a better home for all of our brothers and sisters across the United States.
The American Indian movement, for me, and my involvement with the American Indian movement, for me, allows me to bring to light something, or many things that are very close to me, very dear to me, which are the rights of prisoners, the injustices that go on in the prison system, and it allows me to fight for the voiceless in there. Allows me to bring to light just how many political prisoners there are once our rights get taken from prisoners. It also allows me to take a stand in the community and take the same fight. Take the same fight. And the American Indian movement, for me, allows me their power to do that.
To keep it going.
To keep it going.
What about you?
The American Indian movement to me is just a continuum of what some of my relatives done, my aunties and uncles in the 60s. The takeover of Alcatraz, the stop of the LNG project in Gaviota area. What I've been focusing on in my work with the American Indian movement is a committee for the protection against cultural appropriation. And it's eradicating the mimicking and of our cultural practices, sweat lodges that people are charging for non-native people. So it's putting an end to that at any means necessary.
So also, I don't know if a lot of people are aware of the issues that are facing Santa Barbara County, as far as you were talking about putting an end to sacred practices that are being almost extorted by non-native people. But there also was an interesting issue coming up in Carpinteria as far as using basically us as mascots. And is that also part of what created Santa Barbara AIM?
Yes, AIM was formed largely in response, here in Santa Barbara, was formed largely in response to the very hostile and violent reaction of the community in Carpinteria to the idea that they would have to get rid of their mascot. Now, one of the reasons that we as AIM feel that getting rid of native mascots is important is because one of the key steps to liberating ourselves is dignity. You know, we have to have dignity, and we feel that using us as mascots, you know, non-natives using us as mascots is objectifying us, and that this may only be a small part of the larger struggle, but it is a part nonetheless. Mm-hmm. It is the reclamation of our dignity is important.
Okay, well, that was a quick little discussion on basically why it is so personal, why we have such strong feelings about things, because our land, our culture, our rights are very personal. So thank you. And
silence, they say, is the voice of complicity, but silence is impossible. Silence screams. Silence is a message, just as doing nothing is an act. In every word and every deed, yes, become who you are. There's no sidestepping your own being or your own responsibility. What you do is who you are. You are your own comeuppance. You become your own message. You are the message. In the spirit of Crazy Horse, Leonard Peltier. A participant in the American Indian movement, he went to assist the Oglala Lakota people on the Pine Ridge Reservation in the mid-70s, where a tragic shootout occurred on June 26, 1975. Accused of the murder of 2 agents of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Peltier fled to Canada, believing he would never receive a fair trial in the United States. On February 26, 1976, Peltier was apprehended. The FBI knowingly presented the Canadian court with fraudulent affidavits, and Peltier was returned to the U.S. for trial. Key witnesses were banned from testifying about FBI misconduct, and testimony about the conditions and atmosphere on the Pine Ridge Reservation at the time of the shootout was severely restricted. Important evidence was ruled inadmissible. Still, the U.S. prosecutor failed to produce a single witness who could identify Peltier as the shooter. Peltier's case was full of contradictions, and pertinent evidence was concealed. Peltier was convicted and sentenced to 2 consecutive life terms. Leonard Peltier's first full parole hearing was held in 1993, at which time his case was continued for a 15-year reconsideration. Mr. Peltier has recently applied for and been granted a parole hearing. The hearing is scheduled for July 27, 2009. All supporters are encouraged to step up their efforts in support of parole for Leonard Peltier. Below is our suggested letter for you to send. It is critical that everyone write, no matter where you are in the world. Please invite others you know to write letters as well. You can visit our website at www.aimsb.org, where the letter will be posted for you to view.
Greetings, my friends and relatives. I want to start off this statement by saying, as I've said before, thank you for supporting me and standing up for right wherever you are. I know a lot of you have given up a lot to help so many in my predicament. Daily I am made aware of political prisoners around the world, many who have been killed or tortured for trying to right the wrongs of their area. I have been asked to make statements in support of other movement people from time to time in South America, Europe, and other places. People who love freedom, who love the earth, who love their family, who love the freedom to make their own choices with their own resources. And all indigenous people, we share a common bond. We also, as human beings upon this earth, have to recognize that there have always been those who suffer from an illness called greed. They have an appetite for gaining material wealth that is never satisfied, an appetite for land that is never satisfied. The most common symptom of their illness is indifference to the suffering they cause with their quest. these people